So I'm Joe Lockwood from the Glasgow School of Art. I'm the Programme Director for the newly established Centre for Design Innovation in Forests. I'll give you a brief introduction to me. I'm actually not a die-in-the-wood academic. I come from industry, so I recently crossed the Rubicon into the world of academia. Before that, I worked in the film industry and construction, so I was an entrepreneur. And my introduction to academia actually came through business schools. I actually have an MBA and all those kind of terrible things, and I'm not a designer. However, the Glasgow School of Art does have a School of Design. Quickly, what I'm going to talk about is a brief introduction to the Glasgow School of Art, talk a little bit about our method, which is design innovation, and then just run through some case studies that we've been working on in the Highlands and Islands. So this is Charles Rennie Mackintosh's Glasgow School of Art. So that's based down in Glasgow, and we do art, and that's Richard Wright's Turner Prize winning piece of work that stayed up for about a day. But we also do design. So the school was founded actually in 1840, 1845 as the first government school of design, and objective was to work with industry to create good design. And that is still true in both our teaching and our research going on into the future. So I don't probably need to tell anybody that we live in a complex world with some complex challenges. Globalization, fast pace of technology advancements, sustainability, demanding consumers, you could go on forever, financial crisis, all that kind of stuff. They basically say that we need to learn to innovate in terms of our processes, our products, our services, our systems, but how do we actually go about doing that? So this is our simple equation. So it links into George Cox's statement as well. We believe that creativity is a human capability. Everybody has it. You just need to create the conditions for people to be able to use it. We think design is a good way of doing that because it's a user-centered, structured process for design. So it applies constraints, it has a structure, it's not just, we go off and paint things in our attics. Innovation, perhaps maybe it's not just about creating new products and services, but about renewing our framework of thinking. So this is our method. So while we recognize science, technology, R&D are absolutely critically important for innovation, there's another side to it, and one where there's increasing evidence to suggest that it's just as important. So looking at the social, cultural, organizational factors that also enable innovation to happen and to build sustainable innovation capacity. So what we do is we look at multidisciplinary ways of working to handle some of these complex challenges that we have. And it's about the interface between technology, business, and human values. So our process of design is user-centered. So whatever we do, we look for need. It's about people and their needs. And it's about getting these three things to actually work together. So we see design as being kind of the glue in the middle of these processes. So why are we in the Highlands? That's why we're in the Highlands, to work creatively with business and communities to generate economic growth, both in a national and international context. So in terms of growth for enterprises, sustaining communities, particularly in the Highlands, but making those links from the local also to the international. And not in the normal sense of globalization, that we should do everything on a global scale, but tapping into actually the local expertise and knowledge that exists in all our communities. We do two different kinds of design. We do design for solutions. So again, this is about user-centered, market-led, and looking for unmet need. The focus here is really looking at product and service solutions. But what's also critical is we use co-design methods. So we don't design for you, we design with you. So this is an example of a recent project which involves students from our product design engineering department with the NHS and with members of the Maori community. You know those really ugly pendants that have been around since about 1950 that you get given as a badge of frailty the minute you're over 60 and you're supposed to wear it in case you fall over? Nobody really uses them because they're ugly and they're afraid to turn them on when they're doing the washing up, so they get shoved in a drawer. But the NHS has been buying them since 1950. So we actually asked users through a design workshop, what do you actually need? What should it look like? How should it work? And they created 6 concepts with, I think it's Tungsten was the manufacturer, to go away and see if they could develop prototypes to actually commercialize them as products into the market. Another thing we do is we look at, obviously the NHS requires massive levels of service innovation. So we look at digital health as a solution. So this is an emerging field. There's a lot of pioneering work going on. What we've looked at is using television as a way to deliver health services into the home. So there is existing technology and then customized software which delivers clinical data back to the clinicians. And then we use broadband to have a community of people getting what would normally be delivered inside a hospital, which is physiotherapy for patients with COPD. So this is a lady in her home. And you can see the physiotherapist and then other guys and folk doing physiotherapy with her. So what was important in this was, A, it kept the sense of community. So isolation obviously is an issue, particularly for the age, those people of advanced ages. But also that the clinical output would be as good as if they were in a hospital, which it was. So this was a pilot, and we're continuing that piece of research. Tourism. So I don't think anybody wants the Highlands to be a theme park. I think that would be a true shame for the landscape. So how do you actually create sustainable ways of interacting with the landscape, so people visiting the area? So this was a project with the Ascent Foundation, looking at ways of engaging with the landscape, but that was sensitive to the region. So we worked with them to prototype ideas, to tell stories about the landscape in the landscape. So this is a prototype of a listening post that then gets sent out into the wilderness. Harris Tweed, global brand. We're working with them to look, A, at their branding, but B, also at how they could innovate the use of the cloth. So they have a lot of rules. However, you know, there is scope within the rules to think of new designs, new ways of using it for modern and future consumers. So maybe not just people who go hunting and shooting. So then we have design for creative collaboration. This goes back to the idea of multidiscipline teams, so cross-discipline teams, learning across sectors, learning from other people, and also about having that as a coordinated process, but also stretching the boundaries, so thinking a little bit beyond what the normal simple answers would be. So we work with communities through schools, so linking design thinking to the STEM subjects, so how through practice-based learning can we actually get children engaged in what are normally seen as quite dry subjects. Also working with community regeneration, so this was a project on Rothsay, working with the local development team and the community. Some of the design methods that we use are about visualizing, so not necessarily questionnaires, but actually engaging then with users, using visual methods to try and describe how they would like things to be. Again, trying to find that unmet need. So this is a workshop with students again, down in Rothsay with members of the community, visualizing how they would like to see their local place go forward. We also date businesses. This is a project supported by the Scottish Funding Council in partnership with the Institute of Directors. And what we're looking at here is the intersection between design thinking and the existing knowledge and skills inside an organisation, and how you can actually harness them to build sustainable innovation capacity. So a little bit like David was saying before, we spend a bit of time getting to know each other. So we do a little bit of dating, work out whether we like each other, do we want to have a coffee, maybe have lunch. And then we look, I think in any relationship, the most important thing is trust. So do we trust each other before we actually engage in kind of any interaction? So I'm relatively trustworthy because I have a beard. So this is just, again, the method that we use is about tapping in, and there is increasing evidence that the ability to tap into existing knowledge and find hidden talent inside a workforce is a way to build sustainable innovation. And that's just not being able to create one product, which really isn't going to crack it for you anymore in the current markets, but be able to keep innovating and not have to bring it in from outside, but be able to drive it from within. So these are some of that early sort of findings from this piece of research. So collective value creation, what we do is we work with a cross-discipline team within the organisation from gender, hierarchy, function across the business. So we cut through the silos. We have one process, which we teach them design. And then we set them challenges. So they have design challenges to innovate either their products, services, or processes, whichever one they particularly choose, for themselves. And all we do is facilitate a process. So some of the things we found is people are spotting new market opportunities. One of our participants has now 3 new products in development which are for new markets, so diversification, the biggest leap to take. They've improved their own internal processes and have a process of continuous improvement of those processes, found hidden talent, so we've got people moving up from the shop floor into business development roles, They communicate and collaborate better. So their problems that would normally be deadlocks are quicker to shift on and take forward because they've found ways of communicating. Higher value activities. You've got them going into a lot of, one of the participants' commodity-based product is now looking actually for end-user products, which obviously add higher value. And prototyping, another key thing in our method. We get people to fail fast and fail quickly, which is a bit of a Silicon Valley strapline, but markets move faster, product life cycles are shorter. You need to be able to speed up the way you do things and build the confidence to fail and to learn from your failures. So this is a quote from the chief exec of one of our participants. I'll just let you read it. So in hard business terms, it adds to the bottom line. So this is a quote I really like, something we really believe in at the art school, which is the future belongs to collaborators. We have an enormous amount of complex challenges. Not one person on their own is going to have the idea of how to fix them. Anyway, so I just welcome you to the Glasgow School of Art. Thanks a lot.